Today's episode is brought to you by 9centprinting.com. With over 100 five-star reviews, 9centprinting.com is ready to meet all your printing needs. Are you a church plant or small church with no copy machine? No problem. 9 Cent Printing has you covered. If you need bulletins, flyers, books, cards, offering envelopes, posters, they do it all. I know the Christian owners of this business personally, and I'm not just a fan, I'm also a customer. Fast, nationwide shipping, affordable, professional, wow printing at wow prices. Check them out at 9centprinting.com. Welcome to the Small Town Pastor Podcast. This podcast ministry of Small Town Network. We exist to make disciples, train pastors, plant churches in smaller communities, and we are joined again today by Tony Colomb and our friend Jake Zauche, like hockey. So
there you go.
In our last episode, the exciting conclusion, you had teased the idea of like going to Lewistown, Montana, where you obviously ended up. Tell us about Lewistown. What's Lewistown, Montana like?
All right. If you're thinking about moving to Montana, Lewistown is 40 below and miserable year round. There's
sounds amazing.
no animals here, and there's really no reason to come to Montana.
In other words, stop moving here.
Oh man, no, I didn't use those words. So,
Californians.
No, man, Lewistown is awesome. So we're in the very center of Montana. So if you know Montana at all, we're about 130 miles northwest of Billings. So we're a town of about 6,000. I gotta quit doing this. This is
That's
You're knocking your headphones out of your
three
ears.
times he's knocked his earphones out.
Yep.
Who's counting?
Preachers talk with their hands too much.
Yeah, they do, and I keep hearing I need to get wireless, but I lose stuff, so I don't lose these because they're wired to my computer. So we're a town of 6,000. We're the biggest city for 250 miles.
Wow.
So we supply just a whole big area here. So our county is about 60 miles east-west roughly and 100 miles north-south.
Okay.
So we go from the Missouri River all the way down to mountains just south of town called the Snowies. And so we're in a very, we're not in a touristy part of Montana, so we don't have big mountains, we don't have national park. We have a number of little island ranges around that are not connected to any other mountains. So our town is, it's, the biggest economic driver is agriculture. So lots of ranching, some farming. There's a decent number of government employees here just because we're the bigger city. So we got like the Bureau of Land Management headquarter office for this area is here. Not for this whole region, but they have a bigger office here. We got Wildland Firefighters stationed here. Fish Wildlife Parks has an office here. So we have that. We have a hospital that's kind of outsized for a town our size, just because it's the only one for a long stretch. And then school district. Some factories or manufacturing here, just a little bit of that. So it's a pretty well-rounded town. And it's kind of the rare smaller town. I mean, we're not a small town, but over the last 20 years, we haven't really declined. And in fact, over the last 10 years, we've grown a little bit. But we've not had like a big decline. So we have a church here. Our church is, Tony, you were talking about your church getting close to 100 years old. So I have back here, I have our charter from the state, and I think it was from the early 1940s. So, we're 80 years ish, and we can even trace, some of our background even a little bit further back from that. We've had, just a pretty long ministry as a church in the Lewistown area. And then over the last several years, we've just had some pretty exciting growth and influx, especially of young families. We'll pull people. I think we have folks that very consistently will drive 50 miles every Sunday to come to church.
Wow.
And they might pass like one church on their way there. We have some other folks who would drive and and like they wouldn't pass a church and they'd drive 45 miles to get here. And so we draw from just a very large geographical region.
That's
Mm,
crazy.
mm.
So
Yeah.
you went from like Garden City, Kansas, which is like
Yep.
30,000 to like
Yep.
Joplin and then
Yep.
to Savannah, which is a city,
Savannah,
right?
which is, yeah, Savannah, I think is pushing 400,000 in the area.
So kind of a
Um,
metropolitan large
yeah,
city
yeah,
and
more
then
so.
down
And
to a
then
town.
Lewistown, and so for us, like our closest Walmart is 110 miles, over in Great Falls, Montana. And but I mean we just opened a second grocery store like 2 years ago, so I mean
Mm.
we're kind of big time now.
Big time now. So
But yeah,
what are some of the challenges like for you to go in from that larger city setting to a small little town like that? Or were there any? Like what
uh,
was the
so honestly, none. So I grew up. Garden City was an oil and gas and farm and ranch town.
Mm.
And so after like 6 weeks in Lewistown, I felt more at home here than I had in 8.5 years in Savannah.
it was more
And
Right.
like
there are great folks in Savannah. Just the subculture was so similar to what I grew up in.
Hmm,
Oh,
In
yeah.
Garden City, even was, I mean, that was a fairly segregated town when I grew up. It was about half Latino and about a quarter Southeast Asian.
wow.
Mm.
Um, and so, just because of beef packing plants there. So for me, when I got here, man, it felt very, very quickly like home.
Mm.
And I know talking to people, sometimes there's that challenge when you get to a small town that like you're not from here till you've been here like 40 years, right? And you're the
Right.
new
Yeah.
guy, you're kind of
It's been
If
outsider.
you
here
didn't
40
if you
years.
didn't graduate from high school there, you're
Right,
not from there. Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
for me, man, it was kind one of the blessings of being single when I moved here is that I was able to jump like both feet in to just being part of the community.
Mm.
So, right away I was, whether it was helping guys brand or just being around at like everything going on. I mean, I had my black lab Moxie and she was happy just to roll in my pickup with me. And I mean, we just
Wait a
go
minute.
wherever we could and just hang out.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. We can't let that go by. So, talk about like diving into the context in which you find yourself in the ministry, whether it be helping guys brand. And
Mhm.
so, I think there's probably some people listening to this, maybe three or four, because there's only about 10, but that don't even know what
Right.
that means. So, just give them an explanation
Okay.
real quick
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
would help
So,
people brand.
yep. So first, if you've ever seen the TV show Yellowstone, just
Uh-huh.
just chuck all that out the window, right?
Uh-huh.
So around here, most of our ranchers do what's called a cow-calf operation, right? And so you have a herd of cows, and every year they have calves, and then you raise the calves for just depending anywhere from 5 to 10 months,
Mm.
just kind of based off how you want to run the operation. At the end of that time, you ship your calves, you sell them to somebody, whether it's someone, who is going to finish them off in a feedlot or someone who wants the females called the heifers to, replace their herd or
Mm.
whatever. So roughly, anytime from January to June, somewhere in there, you'll calve.
Mm.
And then when you have calves born, when they're, somewhere roughly 2 months old, give or take, you do what's called branding. And so everybody has their brand. And so that's your unique symbol for your ranch that marks these cows as yours.
Mm.
And so,
Mhm.
not now some guys are moving to the chips and doing
Right.
different things. But the traditional way is you have your brand that's registered with the state and you put it on a specific place on your calf.
Mm.
It might be your right flank or, left hip or, whatever it is. So then when you
Mhm.
brand, what you do is you bring the calves in and you either rope them and tie them down and then press that hot brand onto them and basically just burn that mark onto their skin.
Right.
Or there's hydraulic tables that do it as well. So I
Mm.
mean it's and it's around here, it's, you call your neighbors and everybody like goes and helps somebody brand. And then, maybe the next weekend
Yeah.
it's, the buddy's place where,
Right.
Hmm.
you'll usually do larger groups. I mean, whether it's, 100 to 300, calves in a
Wow.
day,
Wow.
where
Is that like an all day thing, like to do that, even with
yeah,
like, when
yeah,
everyone
a
shows
lot
up?
of times it is. So a
Gotcha.
lot of times, and it's, I mean, it's one of those things that like, we all have those in our different places, or, a lot of us do, where it's like that mix of like doing work, but also like a celebration and party. And, a lot of times there'd be a big meal afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, just a good time to sit and communicate with people and just hang out. So
Yeah.
So
that's,
you're
that's
like
what
coming
branding
in,
is.
so you're coming into this community, you're single,
Hmm.
dog, got free time, you don't have kids and stuff like that.
Right.
So do you start making inroads into the community like that? Is this how you like kind of started to meet the community and become part of
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just tried to kind of picked a coffee shop, and so Lewistown, like, we're a lot of Norwegians here, but I
the?
think we were talking last week in a town of 6,000. I think we have, I want to say, 9 coffee shops.
That's what
So
I'm
and
talking
they,
about.
they all stay afloat. So
Yes.
so a
That's
lot
awesome.
of lot of coffee gets consumed here. So yeah, I just picked a coffee shop, and that was kind of my
Okay, I was
coffee
like,
shop.
where's the connection? Okay, you go work at coffee shops. Got it.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. So I just hang out there, and I mean, you see people there, and and one of the cool things about small town ministry is, you go, um, you know, like the high school basketball games is one of the best places to grow and develop community, right? Because
Hmm.
even if you don't have a kid play basketball, I mean, a lot of folks show up at those, or the football game,
Right.
or like just the grocery store. Um,
Hmm.
and Jocelyn, my daughter, we used to go to the coffee shop a lot of times Saturday morning. This Rising Trout is our coffee shop of choice, and we'd sit
Love
on a
that name.
window. Oh, it is. It's a fishing themed coffee shop, and it's
That's
great.
great.
So we go there, but we'd sit on a window looking out at Main Street, and
Mm.
we play this game where every rig that drove by, Jocelyn would be like, "Do you know them? Do you know them? Who are they?" And I mean, it's funny, but I mean, you know how it is. If you live in a small town, man, it's like every other, or every third, or sometimes 3 out of 5. You're like, oh yeah, yeah, that's John, that's Wes, that's, and she's always interested like in the stories of like who that person is, and man,
That's
it's just
cool.
it's a cool thing.
Is there ever like a downside to that? Like when you live in a very
Mhm.
small town that like everywhere you go, you know somebody.
So
Is there ever a downside to that?
right, so I think, I mean, it's like with almost anything in life, right? It's a two-edged sword. Like virtues, like when they get miscalibrated, that's when they become vices. And I
Mm.
think one of the blessings of doing ministry in a small town that I absolutely love is that I am always a pastor, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm at the football game, it doesn't matter if I take my wife out for dinner. Like,
Mm.
I am a pastor, and man, that is so cool, because like 3 days ago, I was at the Rising Trout doing some work, and this kid walked up who'd been a stud high school athlete here like 8 years ago,
Mm.
and somewhere over the past 8 years had gotten pretty serious about his faith, and so
Huh.
came up and was like, "Hey, you're the pastor up at First Christian. I want to find a solid church for when I'm back in town." And I mean, he's doing great with his life, still doing, still in, working on his education for some stuff.
Mm.
And man, there's something really cool about that. Or, I've had the honor of doing some funerals for some folks in town who didn't have a church family, and I mean, that's pretty common, but do some, fairly high profile ones.
Mm.
And man, that is so cool. The flip side of that is that you're always a pastor. So like,
Correct.
you're out at the coffee shop with your kid, just
Yeah.
wanting to hang out with Jocelyn, or library with James, or out to dinner with Lori, or whatever. Um, and like, it's that fishbowl thing, right? And
Mm.
man, it's cool. Sometimes I think, I know for me, it can get exhausting if I'm not careful and intentional
Mm.
about making sure I'm recharged, and making sure that I'm healthy at a physical and spiritual level,
Mm.
and
Mm.
truly, I think, I mean, Lori is a phenomenal pastor's wife, but I think in a small town, sometimes the heavier burden is on the pastor's wife,
Mm.
because for me, it's kind of expected. I mean, I get paid to be a pastor. I mean, sometimes I can't believe that I get paid to do, this thing that I
They
love
pay me to
so
do
much.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
But Lori doesn't get paid, and she is phenomenal and graceful, and she loves it. But also, there's kind of that expectation that she's always a pastor's wife,
Mm.
and I mean that's that beautiful thing, but there is a cost there too.
It's hard to explain that to people. Like,
Yeah.
like I've not been in as small a town as you guys, but I went. One of our previous guest, Chris Getz, who's in Kansas. Their
Mhm.
Yeah,
town's like,
you remember Chris Getz, right, Jake?
I do.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Chris and I are friends. He was like my youth pastor for a while, and he's on the board for our network. But I went out to visit him in Garnett, Kansas, and we went to like a couple restaurants. We did a couple things like with his church. I was kind of there for like a weekend. And, county seat, biggest town in the county, 3,000 people. And
Right.
everywhere we went, every grocery store, every restaurant, every gas station, Chris knew people. And
Mhm.
he's good at it. He's like he knows his community, he
Mhm.
knows his people, he likes it. But I'm like, man, there's a thing that comes with that of like
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
never like just me just getting gas. I'm always
Yeah.
like pastor,
Yep.
I'm on,
Mhm.
Yep.
And I can see how like if you're not wired the right way and if you haven't learned
Mhm.
to appreciate that, that might feel like annoying. You might be like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a degree of anonymity from time to time, just to go
Yeah.
to the store and be left
Yep.
alone or whatever.
Well,
But
I mean,
What's
truly, it's fantastic accountability.
That's
oh
what,
yeah.
yep.
I mean,
That's what I was about to say. Yep.
it really is.
Yep.
When you're
Because
going to the
like,
weed
Yeah.
shop in Montana and like everybody's
Yeah, right.
Sea
Totally.
Church
I know.
members there.
Well, it's like, I mean, like for both my wife
Uh-huh.
and I, because my wife is a realtor, she
Hmm.
has her own business, and between her being in that business and myself being a pastor at a church, reputation matters a lot for
Yep.
both of those businesses. And so
Hmm.
there are times where we'll hire someone to do some work for us at our home or at one of the properties we own or something, and it doesn't really go well. And you know, we, we get upset about what has happened, and we got to like check ourselves, like how we
Hmm.
interact with these people in asking them to do it correctly.
Yep.
It's like, because if we make a big stink and we're the big jerks here, then they're going to tell people and people will know. And it's a built-in accountability that is
Hmm.
good
Yep.
and exhausting.
It can be. It can
Yeah,
be, because yeah, I mean, we talk sometimes like Christianity, it's simple, but it's not easy, right?
right.
And
Yeah.
I
Mm.
think about that sometimes. And so,
Mm.
things like when Lori and I, when we go on a date, we usually drive about 40 miles away. Just because I'm an extrovert, I'm a people person. It's too easy for me, to see people I know and they talk to me
Yeah.
and I talk to them.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this time I've set aside for my wife, I'm not
Yeah.
spending it with my wife. And
Sure.
so, just
Right.
practical stuff like that.
That's wise, man. That's
Um,
wise.
That
but
is
yeah,
that's good. Well,
and
so tell us a little bit about so you've been at First Christian Church, right?
yep, yep.
How long you
First
been there?
Christian for almost exactly 9 years. It'll be 9 years. Actually, Easter morning will be 9 years exactly that I've been working here.
Awesome.
Okay. Right on.
So
Almost 10 years.
getting close, getting close. So
And what do
Now,
you go ahead.
oh,
Okay.
go ahead, Tony.
I was going to jump the gun quite a bit because a while back, you and I talked on the phone
Hmm.
about some of the situation you've already talked about with all these people driving
Yep,
45, 50
yep,
minutes in these little towns kind of around you. And because you were asking me about the other location that
yep,
we have as a church, because we're
yep.
not a big place. I mean, Warrenton is 6,000. Now we've got Seaside and Astoria close by, which are around 10,000. So it's a little different, but we do that other location about 30
Yeah.
minutes away. And so we kind of talked a little bit about that. Have you guys explored that strategy more and kind of starting First Christian, other satellite locations or campuses, or what kind of came about for that?
Yeah, so we are. That's a great question. So we right now, just a little background. So just for context, so we have our church building is about 50 years old-ish, and I don't know, a couple years ago we realized that space was going to be an issue for us.
Mhm.
So right now, we have a sanctuary that seats, I don't know, 230 seats or something.
Mhm.
And on Sunday mornings right now, we just have some incredible folks here. So we run probably 350 or so on Sunday mornings.
Wow.
and pull
Wow.
people from a lot of different places. One of the things I love is we also do a Wednesday night ministry, and that's kind of our big midweek thing. So we do a meal for anybody who wants it. And then we have about 200 people here Wednesday nights. About
Wow.
150 of them are kids, and a little more than half those kids are not associated with our church in any other way except Wednesday. And
Wow.
so what's been cool is over the last couple of years, we have some families coming now who started with their kids coming on Wednesday.
That's awesome.
And so in our youth pastor Colin, he does a great job. I think we've had this year we've had about 10% of our junior high and high school youth group get baptized.
Amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, man, we do a lot of stuff there. We realized we are running out of space, so we spent about 2 years just exploring the question: do we find a new location and try and build there? Or do we keep the place we have here? And we decided after 2 years to keep our place here. We're right on Main Street in Lewistown, and if you Google Lewistown, Montana, about 90% of the pictures that you see are taken from our church property because
Really?
we're on Main Street on a hill overlooking the rest of the town.
Okay.
And so we just
Oh,
have like
cool.
the iconic, there's a mountain range behind it. So, it's this
Yeah.
mountain town with, this town in a valley with mountains in the background. And we're,
Is that like the perspective you'll post like on social media now and
yep,
then, like
yep,
on Sunday
yep.
morning?
So when
Yeah,
I
that's
put that
cool.
picture of the
Yeah.
cross that actually blew down, so we
Oh
need to put it
no.
back up. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
good,
it's
good, good.
okay. The cross, it happened 2,000 years ago. So if it falls over now, it doesn't invalidate that. But we are going to put it back up. So,
Fair enough.
so yeah, we looked at that, and so right now we're actually working with a group. We need a larger space here, but we ultimately decided we like our space here because our building gets used about 100 times a year by groups not associated with First Christian.
Hmm.
So like the men's cancer support group, 4-H, the extension office. Yesterday, the junior high was up here just using our space because we're 2 blocks from them and they needed to do some planning and stuff. So we get used heavily by our community. We just think that's a beautiful thing. I mean,
Hmm.
we talk about if it's a win for Lewistown, it's a win for us. I mean, out of what is that, Daniel
Yeah.
11,
Yeah.
where just bring peace to the city you find yourself.
Hmm.
So we've been exploring if we use part of our property here to put up a larger like multi-purpose space, while at the same time talking about what would it look like for us to do something in the communities around here. Because
Hmm.
we this year we're not, but for 3 years we did a Sunday night gathering in a little town about 40 miles northwest of here. And so we have a number of folks who come from that area. But we did something targeting, hoping to do some family outreach there, and that did not. We didn't do that the way, or it did not result in what we were hoping with. We just weren't able to get a lot of outreach there, and so we kind of went back to the drawing board and taking this year to figure out how to reattempt that. But we have probably within 60 miles of here, we probably have 10 or 12 little towns. I mean, anywhere from like 25 to
Yeah.
300 people. And
Yeah.
so, some of those have churches, many of them do not.
Right.
And so we've talked about and we're still exploring like what would it look like for us to have an impact in those areas. And
Hmm.
we have some ideas, but we're still talking through what would it look like. And I think there's some opportunity for us just because God has blessed us with a lot of just financial health and some great folks.
Hmm.
So what would it look like for us to kind of resource some place around here, whether it's, church plants or, some sort of campus or something.
Hmm.
That's something that we're working through and talking about right now and trying to figure out, what's the best way for us to do that.
Right.
One of the things that one of the realities for us is that everybody who lives in that area is used to driving to Lewistown. I mean, that's where they come for their groceries and,
Yep.
sometimes
Yep.
multiple times a week. So
Yep.
one of the things we encounter is folks who are a long way away are like, we'll just come here. And so
Yep.
trying to figure out what do we do when like you'll drive 60 miles to come here, but your neighbor who doesn't know church, they
Right.
might only be willing to come 8 miles or 9 miles. So
Right.
how do we help you keep the community you have when there's not enough folks around you to provide like even community, but like we'd love to be able to, you know, have discipleship opportunities there. We talk, just we want to create. I feel like God has gifted us in the areas of generosity and hospitality. So how do we create spaces and
Mm,
places, where people can deepen relationships?
See, this
right.
is really interesting to me because so what a lot of churches, I would say in my experience, most churches have
Hmm.
never thought a thought in their life like what you're talking about.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so when I
Mhm.
talk to people as someone that's not only doing this in my region, um,
Mhm.
like we're a church running 130, just planted our first daughter church, talking about a second one, and thinking about our region, not about our town or like our church,
Right.
or just our local church, but like our area, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And when you say this to people, they look at you like you're crazy, like you're too small to do this.
Hmm.
Like why don't you just like mind your own business? Kind of like,
Mhm.
right? And
Hmm.
I think the problem is, and I'm kind of venturing off, but I think the problem is we're so like siloed in our thinking that
Mhm.
we
Hmm.
only think about how do I grow my church? How do I get my church bigger? How do
Yeah.
I expand my church's footprint? And all we have to do is switch one thing, one word, and go off of this is like a drum I keep beating. Stop talking about church growth and start talking about kingdom growth.
Yep.
And the minute
Mhm.
you do that, you start thinking crazy thoughts like
Right.
what you're thinking, where you
One
go,
and
hey,
Mhm.
there's towns of like 30,
Mhm.
Mhm.
or 20 to 25 to
Right.
300, you said, that
Yep.
don't have a church. I wonder what we could do about that.
Yeah.
And if the
Well,
only thing that ever happens is that you ask and pray and see what
mhm.
happens, even that's
Yeah.
you're 100% farther down the road than people that
Sure.
aren't thinking with that
Right.
kingdom mentality.
Yeah.
Yep.
When and one of the things that we think is the population density around us is low enough that even you throw out terms like bivocational, and many of these places don't even have an opportunity for like a
Be
bivocational.
bivocational, yeah.
Just because there's not even a
What
part-time
would you
job
do?
there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what would it look like for us as a church to figure out a way to fund somebody who like
Mhm.
their job was to do regional discipleship over an area,
Mhm.
and just try and figure that out. And man,
Yeah.
so yeah, those are the
You
things we're
buy you buy the rising trout. And I hope we get like a sponsorship from them because we've mentioned them several times.
right. So let me just the owners there are actually both retired college professors
Yeah.
and
Awesome.
just deeply godly folks. It's changed ownership about a year and a half ago, and John and Tammy, they're fantastic.
Mm.
But I guarantee if you guys come to Lewistown, because we mentioned this, you guys will each get a free drink of whatever kind you.
Hey.
That's
So
it. I'm planning my
right,
Well,
trip
we've been
right
right.
talking
now.
about trying to do a road
Well,
trip and coming up
and
to
in
see you,
fact,
dude. I'm ready.
they do this like you guys. A lot of times like
Oh
bars will
yeah.
do chips.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a rising trout chip. This is something we give to our volunteers, but this is good for any drink at the rising trout. So I
Nice.
got a handful when you guys are
Like a
ready
sobriety
to head
Dude,
coin.
to.
Eric, I think I'll drive out that way. I'll pick you up, and we'll end up in Montana for a mule deer hunt, some fishing, and some coffee at the Rising Trout.
There's no mule deer and
There's
no
no
fish
deer in
here.
it.
Whitetail,
There's no
whitetail.
Yep. I'll take you out whitetail hunting, Tony, and there's coffee, but there's no fish and no mule deer.
well, when we
No
wrap this up,
fish?
let's talk. There's no
No,
there's
we'll talk off air.
there's got to be bodies of
So,
Gotcha.
water for fish, Tony.
oh man,
My bad. My
yep.
bad.
But no, so one other thing I want to just highlight that I guess it is kind of bragging on the church, but one thing we do with high schoolers that I think is absolutely fantastic. We stole this from a church called Libby Christian Church,
Oh yeah.
Libby,
Yeah.
Montana. So Phil
Uh
Alston,
oh, there was Megan, married Jimmy Carrera.
yeah,
She's from Libby.
no, she's from Havre.
Haver. Okay, yeah,
Oh,
She's
that's
I've
from
heard of
Havre.
Havre. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
yeah.
Havre,
Christian church in
Havre's
Havre.
Havre's right up by Canada.
Yeah.
But we do a program, we call it our Legacy Scholarship Program.
Mm,
But we do, and again, Colin, our youth pastor, does a great job leading this. It is a program for any graduating senior in the area. And if they will come to 7 Christian-based life skills classes, then we'll give them $1,000 scholarship.
Wow.
wow.
And so we'll do things like this came out of a lot of things, but one is that we are deeply concerned with the number of kids who walk away from their faith when they leave high school. And
Mm.
so, if there's something we can do to deepen that relationship, or even plant a seed of like remembering a church or Christians in a positive light,
Yeah.
and I mean, if we can do more than that, we would absolutely love to, but that is a bare minimum. So we do these seven. It's the first Sunday of every month, and we'll come in, we'll feed you supper, and then we bring in some bankers and entrepreneurs to talk finance. We actually bring in
Hmm.
one of our local judges to talk about decision making and boundaries. Bring in a
Cool.
counselor to
A
talk about
judge? That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. So we got our local judge, and I mean, he's again, I mean, he's a godly man who has got a great reputation for decades of just integrity. So he carries a lot of moral authority here. We
Awesome.
bring in some folks from nonprofits to talk about empathy and taking care of people.
Mm.
And so we do these different things. And then when you graduate, because we're private, we can do it however we want. So if you're going to college, we'll pay the college. If you're going to trade school and you're already enrolled there, we'll buy you tools. If you need a laptop, we can do that. If you're set financially, we'll open a money market account so you have an emergency fund. So this is our second year of doing it,
Hmm.
and this year we have I think 49 kids who are still eligible for scholarships. So we give I think we give 9 opportunities. You have to be at 7 to get the full scholarship, and you have to be at least 5 to get any kind of scholarship. And then it's just a step
Mm.
down program or step down system. And man, like that's been really good. Even just over the last year, the number of conversations and parents and even kids who've either been back at church or we still have a relationship with
That's
has
cool.
just been huge.
I
Yeah.
love that,
Very
man.
cool.
That's
Love
that's
that.
the kind of stuff that's like it's encouraging to hear people talk about stuff like that because you're like,
Yeah.
that's like you guys have found a niche and you're doing
Yeah.
something that may
Well,
or may not be reproducible, but it's in
yeah.
your context.
Well, yeah,
Context.
and I mean for us that's almost 50% of the graduating seniors like across a 50 mile by probably 50 miles square.
That's awesome, man.
So,
I love
man,
that.
it's cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, if you were, we're kind of running out of time here. If you were to talk about like to someone that was interested in going to a small town to
Mhm.
take over a church or, pastor a
Yep.
church or plant a church, what's something like give a couple like pro tips on like what you need to do if you're going to land in a smaller community like yours?
Yep. Yep. Um, Man, first of all, you've absolutely got to be rock solid on your spiritual disciplines.
Mm.
Because one of the things that happens in a small community is generally there's a not a great number of other pastors around.
Mm.
And so you've got to love the Lord and be solid and secure in who you are as a follower of Jesus, because there's not a lot of like in-person relational support, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
so like that's something
Yeah.
that I think sometimes we
It's really
gloss over,
good.
but I love what you said, Eric, about finding people of like, proven character. I
Mm.
think that's a big deal. I think it probably ought to be scary, not impossible, but scary when we drop, young kids who have great knowledge and little life experience in small towns where they're just kind of on an island.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and then with that, like, develop every relationship you can.
Mm.
Like it is important, very important to preach godly, biblically grounded sermons. Far more important than that is relationships. Take
Mm.
every opportunity you can to spend time with people and do stuff with people.
Mhm.
So, whether it's branding or driving tractor for a guy for a day, or like going to a small business owner and being like, hey, what do you need? I mean, we have I mean, in the past, like we have contractors, and I'd go help a guy if he needs an extra set of hands for a little while, and even
Mm.
if that's not your sweet spot, just go do that, because just showing up and doing stuff is a big deal for people. And then make sure you're a part of the community. Like even if you don't have a kid, go to the games. Go to the grocery store. Go to the grocery store Friday evening. I don't know about other places, but here, I can see as much of my church on Friday evening at Albertsons as I do sometimes on Sunday morning. Just everybody's doing the late pickup before the weekend supper.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then with that, develop friendships. Like make sure that like the folks in your church are your friends.
Mm.
But then also develop friendships with folks who are, kind of outside that circle. So I have one of my best friends is a guy named Josh Frakes, and he's in Seneca, Missouri, about 20 miles south of Joplin,
Okay.
and just good, godly dude, and kind of similar context, smaller town,
Mhm.
and he's one of those guys I call, he's younger than I am, but he's been in his position longer than I've been,
Mm.
and we may talk every other month, but just one of those conversations where, man, what a blessing to have someone that is outside my circle that I can bounce stuff off of, who can
Mhm.
who has a similar context but can provide some wisdom and feedback there.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
Nice.
Yep.
man, and he's just been a blessing. I think having friendships like that is huge too.
So that support network, it may not be as
Yeah.
easy to find and
Yep.
especially
Yep.
at first, like when you move there, you don't know
Yep.
everybody.
Yep.
Right.
And even if it's somebody like from, states away, if you can find somebody in a little bit similar context and just have that person.
Yep. Yep.
So,
That's great, man. I mean, that's
yeah.
one thing we didn't mention it, but I'll just kind of do a quick mention of it that when I met you, I was new to the area and I was just trying to connect with anybody that'll talk to me. And so I actually drove up to Montana. I think I did twice to meet with a couple of you guys in
Hmm.
Montana. And you were talking about, first of all, you drove to meet with me, which is great that you
Yep.
were willing
Yep.
to, because you had to drive like some time to get there too.
Yeah.
Mine was like 6 hours or something, and we were meeting with Tony Nelson. And anyways, but you were like, yeah, once in a while I'll just go and like,
Hmm.
make a round and go talk to all the guys in our area. And I'm like, that's awesome, but tell them how far like the next Christian
Yeah.
church
So,
pastor is.
so if I want to go to the closest Christian church pastor, a cool dude named Kit, he's 110 miles away. And then a lot of
Wow.
times from there, if when I'm doing that circuit, I'll go up to Havre, and
Mm.
Havre is, I don't know, maybe an hour from Kit.
Canada, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I mean, and yeah, Havre's half an hour south of Canada, and then it's 3 hours back here from there. So, it's
Wow.
I mean, it's oh, trying to think. Yeah, it's basically a 500-mile day to visit two Christian churches,
Two
right?
guys,
And
yeah.
I mean, and there's some great churches, and I have some good friends in Lewistown that are, denominational pastors of various
Yeah,
kinds,
sure.
and I mean those are great too. But when you're talking about someone from like the Restoration movement,
Right.
yeah, I can leave here at like 7 and get back home at 5, and I'll have been able to have conversations with two different churches.
And see,
And so I'm
that's
not,
that's that
yeah.
thing again about being kingdom
Wow.
minded, right? Like
Mhm.
there's no benefit for you doing that. Like your church doesn't benefit from that. Like,
Mm. Now,
right? Like
see, I would argue, not to argue, but just
you know what I'm saying? Like
right,
at
right,
the first blush, why would you bother?
right,
You know that there's a value in that, and it's not just
absolutely.
for them, it's for you as
Right.
well, right?
And one of the things that my elders do here that I absolutely love is they think those things are really important.
Mm.
And
Mm.
another thing my elders did when we got here, when I got here, is they were like, "Hey, Jake, if like we want to reach young families, our church mission statement is we exist to turn lost people into sold out followers of Jesus." And they're like, we want to do that. We want to do that with young families. We need to try stuff. You're not going to hear us say no, and we expect some of it's going to
Love
fail.
that.
So let's just do it. And man,
That's
like
awesome.
some stuff has failed, but
Yeah.
those guys to their word, and now we have a mostly different group of elders. I mean, they're just great. They're like, oh yeah, let's do it.
Every
Let's
like
let's. I
Christian
mean,
church elder needs to hear what your elder said. Like
Yeah.
we need to try
right,
stuff.
Absolutely.
Let's try
right, man.
Yeah.
stuff.
They're
Like
they're
We
seriously.
want to
so
reach
just
people. Let's try stuff.
right. I mean, how cool is it to have
Yes.
elders that are like, hey, like we got people here who are lost, and we need to let them know hell's bad, you know,
Hmm.
and
Hell is bad.
right, yeah, just
Yeah.
circle
Hell is
around,
bad.
That's
Jesus is
bring it.
good.
You just did the
good.
pastor thing. You
Yeah,
brought
just
it
did the
full
I'm
full
circle.
totally
circle thing,
after
right,
Easter. I'm going through Revelation. I'm totally using that line.
It's
right.
funny. I'll tell this, and we got to end our episode. We were in my first church plant. I had this young guy in his 20s coming, and he was so excited, about the new church and all in. And he comes up to me like real sincere one day, and he goes, "Eric, I've got this idea for a t-shirt. We've got to do it. He's like, we put a skull and crossbones, and then we say, hell sucks, don't go there. He's like, what do you think? And I'm like,
brilliant.
I'm like, man, that is amazing. I'm gonna
That's
see.
awesome.
I'll get back.
I mean,
to you.
if I could have read at age 6, I would have listened to that, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, well, man, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
If
bro.
people want to find you online, like what's your church website?
Oh man, if you want to find us online, you should probably look for someone who's got better resources, you know?
Come on.
We're fcclewistown.org.
There you go. FCC
Uh,
Lewistown. So
yeah,
if someone wanted to
First
get in
Christian
touch with
Church
you,
Lewistown. Yeah, go there.
Okay.
My emails. I'd
Great.
love, you know, I get excited talking about rural ministry and reaching people for Jesus in the less dense places.
Yeah, you actually are the one that gave us the
density of the
reference
world.
for God's Country, and we had
Yeah,
Brad on the
yeah,
podcast.
Brad there, and he's got another book. Actually, his other book, Flyover Church, right here.
Flyover Church.
So
Yeah, I
I
read that
cleaned
one.
my desk and I found it under a bunch of stuff. But
There you go.
but man, yeah, if there's anything I can do to help, or you know, even answer questions or bounce ideas back, I'm always down with that. So First
Okay.
Christian Lewistown, and then we're also we're pretty vocal and pretty active on Facebook.
Okay.
Because in Lewistown, Montana, Instagram does not get you anywhere. It's got to be Facebook.
God, Facebook. Old
Yep,
school.
Facebook only.
Cool.
So
Well, hey,
Cool.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Be sure to check out our sponsors at 9centprinting.com. If you like what we're doing, please like or subscribe where you watch or listen. If you're interested in Small Town Network, find us online at smalltownnetwork.com. And if you believe in the importance of planting disciple-making churches in smaller communities, we'd love you to consider partnering with us in prayer and financial support. You've been listening to the Small Town Pastor Podcast.
Today's episode is brought to you by 9centprinting.com. With over 100 5-star reviews, 9centprinting.com is ready to meet all your printing needs. Are you a church plant or small church with no copy machine? No problem. 9cent Printing has you covered. If you need bulletins, flyers, books, cards, offering envelopes, posters, they do it all. I know the Christian owners of this business personally, and I'm not just a fan, I'm also a customer. Fast, nationwide shipping, affordable, professional, wow printing at wow prices. Check them out at 9centprinting.com.